Alright, so this video is going to be slightly different because this one is more of an experimentation, because you know that feeling when you just want to do something but you don't really have a plan, like you want to experiment, you have an overall idea of what you want to do. For me it was like a baby doll dress, but I did not really know what exactly I wanted, how everything is gonna like match. So the idea here was for me actually to create like the base structure of what I want, and then take some ruffles, as you can see in this clip here, where I just took a ruffle and then I just started playing around on my mannequin, because I did not want to like have only like play with one design. I wanted to experiment. I wanted to see what I can actually come up with myself, because sure, you can sit hours and hours and hours on Pinterest and you get all these ideas, but you don't really want to copy them. You want to come up with something for yourself, and this is exactly what happened with this project. I had this fabric for a very long time. I don't really love the fabric. I mean, if you can see, like, this is not the final product. Here the fabric is just like, yeah, this. And I'm having a very hard time to style it actually, because I don't know what type of boots will go with it. Yeah, so let me show you how I did this dress.
I have created a basic pattern for the dress and started laying out my pattern pieces out to trace and cut. Since I've already done the bodice off camera, let's start for the sleeve. I folded the sleeve wrong side facing each other so the side seams meet. Basically, I'm using the French seam method here. Once stitched, I then folded the seam the other way so I'm encasing the raw edges. For the cap, I used a gathering stitch from one notch to the other. To attach the bodice to the sleeve, I made sure that my seam aligns as well as my notches. I didn't use French seam here, mainly because I will line the dress since the fabric is quite see-through for my liking. To make my life easier, I decided to first hand stitch the sleeve in place before taking it to my sewing machine. Once the sleeve was attached, I then created a channel to put an elastic. I knew for sure that I wanted some sort of a soft puff sleeve on this dress. Here I decided that I wanted a curve at the front to give the dress some interest points. Before attaching the gathered rectangles, I first had to baby hem the raw edges. To sew a baby hem, fold the fabric edge about 0.5 cm and press. Stitch close to the fold, then trim the excess fabric. Fold it up again and sew one more line to enclose the raw edges neatly. For the rectangles, I wanted to show off the gathered ruffles, so I used my roll hem footer for all of the edges and then used a French seam to attach two pieces together. This step was actually super tedious because I had to do that on all the rectangles, top and bottom. So what I'm doing here is I'm stitching the ruffle onto the blouse. The way I've done it here is I used the bottom thread line for the gathering as my guide to attach it to the line that I got here. I'm using it as a guide without marking my fabrics and then figure out where I need to place the pins so everything is more equal. This is how it's going to look like when this is how it's looking right now when it's pinned. Now I just have to pin the back again using this thread here as my guide and this thread as my guide and placing it and pinning it all around. Once I attached the first ruffle to the bodice, I went ahead with the next layer following the same steps as previously. Since the dress was quite see-through, I had to add some lining to lessen the transparency of the main fabric. I had some spare white fabric that I was able to use for the lining, but I had a very limited amount of it, so I had to be quite smart about it. I decided to make a simple A-line shape. I didn't want to add more volume to the dress since it started to become quite big with all the ruffles. Okay, I think I need to explain here something. So this is the dress, of course, and this is the lining. And what I've done is I slipped the lining on top of the main fabric on the main dress and pinned the neckline. So right sides facing each other of the fabrics. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna stitch along the neckline and then take the lining and push it through. So all of this will be shown like that. And then top stitch it so it stays in place. That's what I'm gonna do now because I think that's doing it that way I will create a really nice and neat finish for the inside.
So now that I attached the lining to the main fabric, specifically on the neck area, what I'm gonna do now is underline stitch the lining. Basically, what it means is that I'm gonna take the main fabric, and here's my lining, and I'm gonna stitch really close to the edge on the lining, so when it's folded inside, the lining will stay hidden and will not show up like this. Like this is untreated, and once I always underline stitch it, yeah, the lining will stay in place and the fabric will just show up nicely.
To attach the lining to the armhole, start by sewing the lining to the outer fabric along one half of the armhole, right sides together. Then, pull that section through the right side, smooth it out, and repeat the same process for the other half to fully enclose the armhole neatly.
So here's actually the almost finished garment. What I've done is, because I tried it on and I looked like a balloon, so I added two ribbons on each side that I can open up if I want to. I still need to stitch it, and I still need to figure out if this is the right width that I want to use. And yeah, so the ruffles are in, the lining is in, everything is hemmed at the bottom, but it looks too cute. It just looks too, I don't know, granny. And what I thought was is to add another ruffle around it to make it look like it's starting from here, wrapping it all around, and then going down into a spiral. I think I might do that. Let me show you quickly the idea. So I just attached the ruffle that I was talking about. I think it's way cuter. It looks less granny in my opinion. I really like how it looks. It's more unique, and that's what I really wanted. I like unique things, and I still need to like stylize it and put the gathers in the right place, but the back also looks super cute. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pin it and then just stitch on top of it like I've done on all the ruffles here.
And here we have the final dress with the added bodice ruffles. What do you guys think of it? Would you make one, or what would you have done differently here? Also, how would you style it? Because really, I'm having a hard time styling this dress. So any tips, any ideas, please leave them in the comment section because I would really appreciate that.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, because I would really appreciate that. It will help me as a young content creator, and if you would subscribe, that is even better, because I really appreciate for people that are really loving my content. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more, please go to my channel, because I have so many more projects that are tutorials. So yeah, if you want to do that, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, I'll see you in my next video.